little bit sassy, a little bit crazy, a little bit classy. We got dreams and we got goals. We're just a couple of old sassholes.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to A Couple of Sassholes podcast. I'm Brooklyn Maple.
And I'm Heather Terry.
And as you all know, or maybe you don't know, this is our power hour of true crime with fucked up people doing fucked up shit, most of the time for fucked up reasons or no reasons at all.
That's right.
And we sometimes, if we're lucky, we get to talk about the why, which is not often.
The why, the how, the who's.
And at the end of the day, today we get to.
We do.
So this is our 100th episode B.
2.0.
Because there's, 2.0 implies better than the first.
Oh.
Never
mind.
That's an upgrade.
I did the first half, so let's not do that.
Yeah. We are not saying that it was not grandiose as it was. So we're just doing 100B.
Because we didn't think you wanted to sit there for, 2.5 hours listening to.
I kind of almost wish we would have just nailed her. Because I am exhausted thinking about Ted Bundy.
Yeah.
Like he has stolen something from me.
Yeah.
And he's really robbed me. And it's of the entire concept that he literally took the last shred of humanity and decency out of life for women again.
Yeah.
Because we're already so worried about being murdered. Because I don't know if you guys know this, women tend to get murdered more often and attacked and violently assaulted. Mm-hmm. And he literally took that last little part of, a charming, nice guy who is on crutches with a hurt leg. Yeah, I can open up the door and put your books in the back of your vehicle. Mm-hmm. And he took it away.
Yeah, it was very sad. Sad time.
I think I forgot how much he fucking sucked because in the true crime arena of my memory, not anyone else's, once more, spit on the ground if you poo-poo what I say, but he was the famous one for, like, Gacy was nasty, gross, scary, right?
He's like the boogeyman, like the clown-faced boogeyman.
Yes, and he was going after gay men, so once more, there wasn't a level of fear for me, being that I'm not a gay man. Or a man. In general.
Okay, well, I was really misled, but
I know.
That's fine. Keep going.
I'm sure it was very confusing for our listeners, too, to find that out. But like with Ted, he was just the famous hot one. Like, people were still fans of him. People found him charming. And whenever I went back and watched everything, I was like, you're not fucking charming. You're fucking creepy. Yeah. What he does is creepy. What he does in the courtroom is creepy. Mm-hmm. Basically, if I was going to have a shirt for the trial of Ted Bundy, it would have been, man, you're fucking cringy. He was so cringy. Yeah. What he did, cringy.
His turtlenecks, his unibrow.
Everything about him. Fuck him.
Yeah. Blech.
So I get to talk about his death, basically. Yeah. If you will. Well, a lot more than that.
The beginning of the end.
Yes. And so...
Yeah.
I'm going to do that.
You're going to?
I'm going to do it.
You look very official. You got your papers.
I have my glasses on because I had to reread my notes because, man, sometimes there are, for me, far and few between where I do research 6 weeks ago and then do the story. And that is why I feel like Ted Bundy has consumed too much of my brain power because he's been on my mind for like 3-4 weeks now, I feel like.
Well, you had to do your book report like 3 or 4 times. And then when you go reread it, it just rips the Band-Aid right back off.
It does.
So...
It's literally a book report.
Yeah.
So I used KETV, ABC News, Tallahassee Democrat, and then also Netflix Conversations with a Killer. I watched another one, but I feel like for the sake of my research, it didn't. Who fucking cares?
Sprinkle it in. It's fine.
Yeah. So here's a reminder. Bundy had been charged with the murder of Karen Campbell in Colorado when he crawled through a hole in the ceiling of his cell and escaped.
That's insane.
So this was his second escape. Previously, he jumped from a courthouse second-story window and had been on the lam for 4 days in June of 1977.
That's where we left you guys.
Yes.
On the cliff.
On the cliff of this story, which isn't because it's history. And we all know how it ended.
Spoiler alert. If you're listening to this, there's a good chance you know how it ends.
Yes. I hope you do, actually. I really hope you do.
Can you imagine somebody listening to this being like, who's Ted Bundy? Get out of here.
I would be blown away.
Right?
I would be just as blown away as all of Ted Bundy's friends when they realized that he was the killer.
Yeah.
Because apparently them bitches were blown away too. So he's pretty, he gets pretty darn far and ends up in northern Florida, as Heather informed us on the last episode. From Chicago, Bundy had traveled by train to Ann Arbor, Michigan, where he was present in a local tavern on January 2nd. 5 days later, he stole a car and drove south to Atlanta, where he boarded a bus and arrived to Tallahassee, Florida on the morning of January 8th. I wanted to make sure, like, I explained how the fuck he got to Tallahassee.
Yeah.
Because whenever we had done it, I was like, how'd he get so far?
I know. Well, he did like
drive?
19 different things. He
Yeah.
did everything but like ride a donkey.
A donkey. He stayed for one night at a hotel before he rented a room under the alias of Chris Hagen at a boarding house near the Florida State University campus. He said that he was thinking about not attacking anyone anymore.
He was thinking about it.
He was like, I'm gonna
be a changed man.
I'm gonna
Chris
stay
Hagen
here.
doesn't kill.
Yeah.
Chris Hagen doesn't murder.
Agreed. He is a good guy. But then his impulses changed for him. So Ted broke into the Chi Omega sorority house in Tallahassee around 3 a.m. January 15th, 1978. He was armed with some form of a wooden club. Some said it was a piece of fucking oak firewood.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. On all the shows, they like portray it like he just grabbed it on the way in, like, like
Just
out of
a piece
rage.
of fucking wood.
That's insane.
That's insane to me. Mm-hmm. A piece of fucking firewood. Anyway, apparently the back door had like a lock that was broken or it wasn't working, so he really just walked in, if you want to be honest. I was like, how did he get in and no one here? No, it was a door that wasn't working.
No.
Here's what the cops experienced, who were just 3 blocks away when the call came in.
Okay.
This is basically word for word in some pieces. I feel like I have to be like, hey, I kind of am copying and pasting some of it from the perspective of the cop that was called that day.
Yeah.
And then some of it is just my curse words. So
I love that.
everyone figure it out on your own. We're excited. But it's from an ABC News article. From what I saw, they only use the cops' last names, so we're just going to act like we know who the fuck these people are.
Okay.
Let's act like we jumped into the middle of a book and we already have all the character development created.
Let's call them last names like football coach.
Exactly. As I stepped in the house, the girls were yelling, upstairs, upstairs, and there was a lot of crying. At the top of the stairs was a girl named Karen Chandler, and she was down on the floor and was bleeding quite badly from head injuries. Chandler told ABC News that pretty much every bone in her face had been broken.
Oh, my God.
And she also had a broken arm. I asked her what happened. She said there was a loud banging noise, was what she said she'd heard. She made mention about her roommate, Kathy Kleiner. Crew said. Karen Chandler, she was 21. She suffered a concussion, a broken jaw, loss of teeth, and a crushed finger.
Oof.
Yeah. When he entered Chandler's room, her jaw was actually hanging off one side. He said it was only one hinge was still attached. She was totally incoherent and in shock. Kleiner said she remembered lying on her bed and trying to talk, to say anything or just scream, but she couldn't. Her jaw was actually broken in 3 places. Bundy had brutally beaten both girls before he had fled. Prior to entering their room, he walked into Margaret Bowman and Lisa Levy's room. Here, he had beaten them prior to strangling them both. There was a bite mark on Levy. I knocked on the door for Margaret Bowman's room and didn't get a response, one of the cops had said. I opened the door and there was a huge spray of blood on the wall. I shut the door so the other girls wouldn't see. Margaret Elizabeth Bowman, who was 21, with a piece of oak firewood, as she slept, was beaten. And then he ended up choking her with her nylon stocking.
Oh, God.
He then entered the bedroom of 20-year-old Lisa Janet Levy and beat her unconscious, strangled her, tore one of her nipples, bit deeply into her left butt cheek, and sexually assaulted her with a hair mist bottle.
Oh, my God. Was Kathy Kleiner...
Is the one that we had went to see at CrimeCon in Orlando.
She made me cry.
Yeah. She had said, well, her story was really sad too. Like she had said whenever she left, because of the ambulance, she thought that she was at a carnival, which I thought was really sad.
Oh.
She was like, I felt like I was at a carnival, but it was so cold. So I didn't understand why it was so cold and why I was at the carnival. And that's one of her memories. But none of the girls talked to her afterwards. No one ever spoke. And I find that to be so...
That was
1970s. Like, how did they not...
They swept it under the rug instead of, like...
addressing that they were brutally attacked in their sleep.
And, like, coming together. as far as like they could have healed together, I guess. But I don't know.
We say that, and it was college girls, so they likely weren't from Tallahassee. So like that is one thing. I don't talk to a single person from college, not one single person in my college life. And I moved away and was and everyone that went to my college was from another state. So no one stayed. And I wonder if maybe like everyone going home and probably switching schools and stuff like that after this horrible attack. Who knows?
Back then it was just like, push it down. Like feelings. So maybe they just pushed it down and they were like, if I talk to you, it's going to bring it back up.
Well, the only reason that the attack stopped was because someone was dropping off one of the other girls and the headlights shone into the room while he was beating Kathy Klein. And so he ran out. All of these attacks, including the assaults on the 2 women that had passed away, was less than 15 minutes. Like that kind of rampage,
That's rage. Like crazy rage.
Yeah. I don't even know how you can tear off like a part of your body. I don't even know. But that bite ended up also resurfacing in court. So after the attack, he wasn't done though, which is also just blows me away that it's like he broke out of jail. They had enough evidence, I believe. We believe he was going to be away for a while.
Yeah.
And then he gets out and he does this, and it's just like a serial killer. This is a fucking horror movie. This is really a horror fucking movie. And he breaks into a sorority house.
And it took like 2 weeks for him to do it. Like again.
Yeah.
He's like, I think I'm going to turn over a new leaf. No, you're fucking not, you psycho.
He only travels about 4 or 5 blocks away, and he breaks into a basement apartment and attacks a 21-year-old FSU student, Cheryl Thomas. Now, Cheryl was a dance major, and she was fast asleep when he came into her house. He dislocates her shoulder, and he fractures her jaw and her skull in 5 places. She was left with permanent deafness in her left ear and equilibrium damage, which means that she had to end her dance career.
Oh, God.
So this attack took her entire future away. Imagine it being like a dance major, how skilled you actually are. Yeah. And now you had a brain damage to where you can't keep your equilibrium.
Your whole life changes.
On Thomas's bed, police found a semen stain and a pantyhose mask containing 2 hairs that were very much like Bundy's. Debbie Ciccarelli, I said that wrong, Ciccarelli, lived on the other side of the house that Bundy had entered, and Thomas lived on the other side. So, like, they were neighbors. I woke up to this loud pounding. It was just a real loud banging sound. We could hear Cheryl moaning, whimpering. I called Cheryl. We could hear the phone ringing because the wall was so thin, but she wasn't answering the phone. They called the police, and when officers arrived, they found her on the floor, beaten and bloody. So it was her neighbor.
Yeah.
Hearing her get attacked.
Could you... that would be so bad, having to hear that from one, but I'm glad that she was actually home and called. Because who knows?
It's also a neighbor, though, by a basement apartment. Okay, I was like, how the fuck?
Yeah.
But that would be terrifying to hear what you think is an attack, and then you calling and them not answering, and you just hear her moaning.
Well, I'm glad, and I'm glad she actually called. Because some people would have been like, I don't know, I heard loud noises last night, but that's crazy. Like, just... Man,
she could have died on the floor.
Yeah.
He then they found out that he had crawled through the window in her kitchen, which was beside her bedroom. He had worn a hose over his face that had eye holes cut in it and a knot tied on the top, she said, talking about the pantyhose. He pulled that off, and that was dropped on my floor. If I did not have my neighbors right next door to hear something, I don't think I would have survived. It was that close.
She probably wouldn't have.
On February 8th, Bundy drives 150 miles east to Jacksonville in a stolen FSU van. How the fuck? I just wonder this. Like, this makes me wonder how it happened. And, like, I just don't understand. Like, everyone knows that vehicle's stolen. It's an FSU van. I feel like it would be very obvious, but I'm also living in 2024.
Yeah, where we could just take a picture and text it or send, you know what I mean?
Yeah. At this point, it's pretty much just extreme rage is what's happening. He can't seem to stop himself anymore. In a parking lot, he approaches a 14-year-old Leslie Palmeter, and she happens to be the daughter of Jacksonville Police Department's chief of detectives, identifying himself as Richard Burton Fire Department. But he bounces as soon as her older brother shows up and is like, who are you? So she was a cop's daughter. Yeah. And he was like, I'm fire department. And was trying to lure her away. And that was I mean, she's 14. He's now how old? Like 28? Disgusting.
Yeah.
That afternoon, he backtracked 60 miles westward to Lake City. At Lake City Junior High School the following morning, 12-year-old Kimberly Diane Leach was summoned to her homeroom by a teacher to retrieve her purse that she had left previously, and she never made it back. 7 weeks later, after an intensive search, her partially mummified remains were found in a pig farrowing shed near Sewanee River State Park, 35 miles northwest of Lake City. Forensic experts confirmed that this sweet little 12-year-old girl had been raped before having her throat cut and her genitals mutilated with a knife.
Oh, my God. Do you think he started going younger because of the media attention and he was like, these older women are not going to fall for it. Let me go younger because they're...
Yeah, they needed naive.
Yeah.
Like he went, and that's what they had said too, is like based off everything.
Yeah.
There was too much going on. Women who were actual women were like, now, no, I will not help you.
Yeah.
Fucking load your books into your car. Like now women weren't doing it. And so, yeah, he just went for little kids. Because
Yeah.
a 12-year-old is a little kid.
Yeah.
And she looked like a little kid.
She did.
So that's also disgusting. Like like she looked like she was maybe 8. And
Yeah.
you're telling me that
Yeah.
you raped an 8-year-old.
And that's one of the things with his looks that kind of gets overshadowed is he was a pedophile. He was a necrophiliac. Like, he was a horrible
Disgusting pervert.
Yeah.
Yeah. And all because, he didn't look that bad?
He didn't.
Fuck off.
He didn't look dirty. So people are like, and he didn't look as scary.
Fuck off.
Some photos he did, though.
You aren't wrong.
Yeah.
There are definitely photos where you're like, you have dead eyes.
Yeah.
For sure.
Right.
On February 12th, with his money running out and he needs to pay rent, not to mention he is consistently worried about getting caught, he stole a car and fled to Tallahassee, driving westward across the Florida Panhandle. 3 days later, at around 1 a.m., he was stopped by the Pensacola police officer David Lee near the Alabama state line after a wants and warrants check showed his Volkswagen Beetle was stolen. Interesting that he stole a Beetle.
Right. Stick to what you know.
Also, what the fuck?
Right?
Like, okay, I totally stick with what you know. I know my RAV, but I drive a RAV4. I know a RAV4. Guess what, though? Because I know Toyota, I know Toyotas. So it's like I get maybe sticking with a Volkswagen.
Yeah.
But like going for what they're like,
I
that's
get
insane.
It. Yeah. But I mean, then again, they were real popular then. So he could be like, maybe I'll just blend in. But I think that I agree with you. I think that's really stupid.
Right.
That he would go get the same car with his name and his looks, and they're already looking for you. Like,
or maybe, maybe hiding in
get you a Pinto.
Sight.
Were those out?
I have no fucking clue. Like, yeah, with all my historical vehicle knowledge. When he was told he was under arrest, Bundy kicks Lee's legs out from under him and he takes off running. Lee fired 2 warning shots, then gave chase and tackled him. The two struggled over Lee's gun before the officer finally subdued and arrested Bundy.
Oof.
In the stolen vehicle, there were 3 sets of IDs belonging to female FSU students. 21 stolen credit cards and a stolen television set. Also found were a pair of dark rim nondescript glasses and a pair of plaid slacks, later identified as the disguise worn by Richard Burton Fire Department in Jacksonville. As the cops take him to jail, not realizing that he is Ted fucking Bundy.
They just thought he was like a
This dude had no idea why this guy was being like, why he was.
Know.
He had no idea he was Ted Bundy. Which is unbelievable because at that point, he was on FBI's 10 most wanted fugitives.
That's what I was going to ask. I thought he was on the top 10 list.
He was. And I'm like, so is that a shitty cop, yes or no?
He's like, this is my first day, and this guy's trying to
and it's like, and you're
legs.
in the area after the murders. So I feel like he had to have known.
There was a
There's
memo.
No way
there was a memo that ran across his desk. He did not read. Clearly.
There's no way.
He's like, I'll get to that later. There's donuts in the break room. I don't know why I'm Southern.
Or maybe... I don't know. The vibe I got is that they did not know. But I don't know how he didn't know. Because you're right. It's like, it's not like he was the fucking server at Chili's and didn't check to see that the tomato soup was the special today. Like, this is a little more...
Did you just off the cuff that? That was good.
I did. Thank you.
This was very good.
And Ted ended up telling the guy, he goes, I wish you had killed me.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. That was like the one thing he said in the car.
You're like, don't worry. We'll get to that.
So... Someone in a uniform will kill you.
Yes.
Following a change of venue to Miami, Bundy stood trial for the Chi Omega homicides and assaults in June of 1979. The trial was covered by 250 reporters from 5 continents and was the first to be televised nationally in the United States.
Oh, wow. I forgot that.
Yeah. We were just prepping for fucking, what's his name? OJ.
Oh, God, yeah.
Despite the presence of 5 court-appointed attorneys, Bundy again handled much of his own defense. From the beginning, he sabotaged the entire defense effort of Woof. Oh, la, 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 la.
That was...
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sabotaged the entire defense effort out of spite, distrust, and grandiose delusion, is what his attorney had said. He later wrote. Ted was facing murder charges with a possible death sentence, and all that mattered to him apparently was that he was in charge.
I mean, that seems on brand.
It seems very serial killer vibe.
Cocky bastard.
Yeah. According to Mike Minerva, a Tallahassee public defender and member of the defense team, a pre-trial plea bargain was negotiated in which Bundy would plead guilty to killing Levy, Bowman, and Leach in exchange for a firm 75-year prison sentence. Prosecutors were pretty amenable to the deal by one account because prospects of losing a trial were very good. And then also Bundy, on the other hand, saw the plea deal not only as a means of avoiding the death penalty, but also a tactical move. He could enter his plea, then wait a few years for evidence to disintegrate, to become lost, and for witnesses to die, and then he could move on or retract their testimony. So he was like, I can do the plea deal, and I can still get out. I can get out faster in 75 years. Once the case against him had deteriorated beyond repair, he could file a post-conviction motion to set aside the plea and secure an acquittal.
I never once thought of that. Ever.
Me either.
Yeah.
You got to figure something out.
Shit.
But you're also, nobody will ever wants to do that shit, though, because you're just hoping. Mm-hmm. You're just hoping.
It's like, do we roll the dice? Do we not roll the dice?
Yeah. Did I get 75 years, or could I have? There's nothing else you would have gotten. You're not going to get off.
No.
Like, let's just come off on the fact that you're not going to get off.
Nope.
At the last minute, however, Ted refuses the deal, and it made him realize he was going to have to stand up in front of the whole world and say he was guilty.
Ooh.
He just couldn't do that part.
Of course not.
At trial, the crucial testimony came from Chi Omega sorority members Connie Hastings, who placed Bundy in the vicinity of the sorority house that evening, and Nita Neary, who saw him leaving the house clutching the murder weapon. Incriminating physical evidence included impressions of the bite wounds Bundy had inflicted on Levy's left buttocks, which forensic Richard Souvron and Lau Levine, matched to castings of his teeth. This was apparently the first time they tried to use this type of forensics in a trial.
That's what I was going to ask, because he had jagged little pill teeth. Like, his teeth weren't he didn't have Invisalign. Let's just say that.
No, he didn't. And I never noticed it because it was his bottom teeth that were really crooked. Mm-hmm. Like, those are always the safe ones to leave crooked. I know that from my parents. If the bottom teeth are crooked, it's fine. Just focus on the top.
That's fine.
And so, yes, It was because his teeth had such a... Then I started wondering, would that happen now? Like, obviously, our teeth are distinct, but a lot more people have straight teeth. But then again, even with Invisalign, you don't know what kind of teeth,
yeah, still like a...
shape you have.
Thumbprint. Yeah. You could still have straight, yeah.
Mm-mm. The jury deliberated for less than 7 hours before convincing, or not convincing. They did not need to convince Bundy. They had to convict him.
They convinced him he was guilty.
Yes. On July 24th of 1979, of the Bowman and Levy murders, 3 counts of attempted first-degree murder for the assaults of Kleiner, Chandler, and Thomas, and 2 counts of burglary. The trial judge, Edward Cowart, imposed death sentences for the murder convictions. 6 months later, a second trial took place in Orlando for the abduction and murder of Kimberly Leach. That was our sweet baby little 12-year-old. That was the young
one, yeah.
He was found guilty once again after less than 8 hours deliberation, due principally to the testimony of an eyewitness who saw him leading Leach from the schoolyard to the fucking stolen van.
Oh,
Important material evidence included clothing fibers with an unusual manufacturing error that was found in the van and on Leach's body. And it also matched fibers from the jacket that Bundy was wearing when he was arrested.
So there wasn't a way around it.
There ain't no way.
You know what I'm shocked about? That the fact that they had to deliberate like that for that, because some of the ones that are without a doubt.
2 hours.
It's like
It's usually 2 hours
or
max.
like one of them I did was 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, did you even make it down the hallway? So like
They probably, maybe because there was a lot of actual evidence, maybe they had to discuss the evidence again. I don't know.
maybe they just had to pick it apart again, or
Maybe they were just like,
They took a long lunch.
We should, do you guys want to hang out for a little bit?
like, there's a food
Maybe
truck
somebody
outside?
had like a stomach issue and they were in the pot the whole time and they had to wait to get all the votes.
They had
They're like,
tummy
fucking
ache.
Debbie's stomach again.
They had a they had a Bundy tummy ache.
Yeah.
It's nauseating going through all this shit anyway.
I'm
so
sure.
I think I would get a little flare up sitting in that room.
Both of us would. During the penalty phase of the Leach trial, Bundy took advantage of an obscure Florida law providing. Okay, get your cringe on.
Okay.
Get your cringy corduroy pants on because we're gonna
Corduroys.
cringy corduroys. So apparently, in Florida, if you make a marriage declaration in court in the presence of a judge, constituted a legal marriage.
Wait, what? You could just be like, we're married? And then...
So homeboy ends up interviewing this bitch Boone. And I just realized I don't think I put the rest of her name. I'll find it. Carol. I think it's Carol Boone, which was a coworker of hers that looks a lot like Candy from the show Candy.
I'll look her up.
Oh, she ugly.
And
Bundy's attractive. So the first thing I'm going to say is that she is an unattractive woman and she ends up marrying Ted Bundy. Okay. So while he's questioning her on his character, essentially, because they were coworkers. Yeah.
Woof.
Yeah. He literally goes, what's her name?
Carol Ann Boone.
Carol Ann Boone. So once he's talking to her, he's like, Carol Ann, you know I want to marry you, right? And she goes, yes. And he goes, do you want to marry me? And she goes, yes. They're married.
Because he did that
in the court. You have to watch it because it literally makes me want to shower. And it's just...
I feel like the way he talks sometimes is gross. Like, it makes you feel gross.
It made me feel like he was like, I don't know, something about it made me feel like he was so much better. Like, she was just such not an attract. Like, the looks weren't equal.
She looks like she was his math tutor, and then he slipped her the stinky pinky or something because he got division right. Like, long division.
I don't know. It's just not all of it.
And then she was really into it.
Yeah.
Well,
so she accepted. And
look how crazy he looks in that.
In the court, they say that they are, yes, they are officially married.
That's insane.
I can't even. So they also said too, like, I said she looks like a weirdo, and I don't care to say that. They had worked together and were friends for a long time. She was actually going through her second divorce when they had originally met. So she obviously is really good at marriage.
She's really good at marriage.
Because her third one is a serial killer.
I mean, yeah. Third time is not always a charm.
No.
Ladies, gentlemen.
On February 10th of 1980, Bundy was sentenced for a third time to death by electrocution. As the sentence was announced, he reportedly stood and shouted, "Tell the jury they were wrong."
You tell them.
This third death sentence would be the one that ultimately carried out 9 years later.
Okay, here's the thing I don't think I realized when we were doing this, that this was what you just read was 5 years before I was born. I think in my head it was way, way earlier than that. For some reason, I didn't put two and two together.
Oh, this felt very 70s to me. All serial killers were in the 70s. So while he was married to Boone, by the way, they would just fuck. They were fucking.
Where?
In the prison.
Like where, though?
In the prison. I don't know.
Like behind the...
No, in the room.
Just and people just let them do it.
Yeah. So she had talked about how one time they like just walked in on them fucking and they didn't really care, and you could like basically just pay for the time. Like for your spouse to come. Like pay for conjugal visits to the guards. And they're like, yeah. And she got pregnant.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Due to that, on October 24th, 1982, Boone gave birth to a daughter, Rose Bundy.
Oh. That is... Okay.
She has apparently like changed her name and...
Why?
Has hidden. So keep in mind, through all of this, he says that he did not do this, right? So let's just like all come to terms with the fact that there's super evidence.
Yeah.
And he's going to be like, I did not do it.
But I'm innocent. The fuck you are.
Right. Shortly after the conclusion of the Leach trial and the beginning of the long appeals process that followed, Bundy initiated a series of interviews with Stephen Mitchod and Hugh Ainsworth. So before this, whenever he was going through the whole court thing, obviously he was fucking like, he would be late to court. He wouldn't show up. He would make a lot of jokes. He was not an attorney. Yeah. One more time. In the 70s, a white man who was accused of killing over 30 white women was then allowed to play an attorney.
Yeah.
And I'll never understand that part. Like the fact that he just he was like, you know what, fuck it. And they had to have an attorney, and he ends up firing his attorney.
Yeah.
Because he's like, you're incompetent. And really the attorney's like, fuck yeah, I don't want to fucking work on this case. Fuck you, you ding-a-ling.
Fuck you. Why would you say fuck you and ding-a-ling in the same sentence?
I can't even. So all that shit is going on.
Yeah.
And he's basically just made a mockery out of the court experience.
100%.
Now, the worst part of all of it in the court proceedings, before I even I just realized I hop into death row and hit the moment where he finally admits to everything he did. Mm-hmm. But during the court time, what he fucking did is he made the cops get back on the stand and talk word for word, explaining and reliving the crimes.
Yeah, because he got off on it.
And you could tell he got off on it.
Yeah.
So he was like, can you explain the blood in the room? Like that bad.
And they're like...
And then at some point they're like, you can literally tell. You're like, he is getting off on... And he would just make him talk in great detail about the bloat of the body.
Yeah.
Where the blood was. How the body was laid. Like everything.
Things that aren't relevant to his defense whatsoever.
Not at all.
I wonder if they got to be like, hey, I'm done. We're good. Like, do they ever get to...
I didn't see it on there, but they did. Something happened to where I think actually the judge did say something like, we're not repeating this again.
Yeah.
Like
enough is enough.
Enough is enough.
Yeah.
Stop.
If I was a cop up there, I'd be like, I plead the fifth because you're sicking me out. You know,
I can literally tell that you're reliving this. Yeah. You nasty fucking pervert.
Nasty, dirty bird.
Anyway, so he ends up talking to these two gentlemen. And he's speaking mostly in the third person to avoid the stigma of a confession. He began for the first time to divulge the details of his crimes and his thought processes behind it. This is easily the most troubling, but then again, isn't this what we always want? We always want to understand why and to hear the details on how someone becomes a serial killer. It's why we listen to this fucking podcast. It's why we're into what we're into. How the fuck does a normal person, quote unquote, normal, average, whatever, day-to-day human decide then to play God?
Yeah.
What breaks that part of you that then I accidentally freaking cut somebody off and it's going to eat me alive for 2 days. But here's people who are just literally cutting people's heads off and playing with their insides and then burning them and then having sex with a dead body over and over again until the smell is too bad. How does one become that?
Yeah.
So we'll talk about it. So Bundy essentially was just a career thief in the beginning of all of it. So he confirms their long time suspicion that everything that he ever owned in his life that was of value was something that he had stolen. And he said that was the big payoff for him. He said was actually possessing whatever it was I had stolen. I really enjoyed having something that I wanted and had gone out and taken it. As you can imagine, this tied in beautifully with his need to murder and rape, and possession proved to be an important motive for him. Sexual assault, he said, fulfilled his need to totally possess his victims. At first, he killed his victims as a matter of expediency to eliminate the possibility of being caught. But later, murder became part of the adventure. The ultimate possession was, in fact, the taking of the life, he said, and then the physical possession of the remains. He also confided in Special Agent William Hagmaier of the FBI Behavioral Analysis Unit that he was struck by the deep, almost mystical satisfaction that Bundy had taken in murder. He said that after a while, murder is not just a crime of lust or violence, Hagmaier had related. It becomes possession. They are part of you. The victim becomes a part of you, and you two are forever one. And the grounds where you kill them or leave them become sacred to you, and you will always be drawn back to them.
What? What the? Okay. I don't think I realized he was that big of a thief either. I don't think I knew that. So
I think
like
it
that.
just kind of...
I like that you're diving into this.
I feel like it just like got put over to the side.
Mm-hmm.
And then we realize it in his confession tapes like 2 weeks before he actually dies, you know?
Like parsley on a plate.
Yeah. They said that he had considered himself to be an amateur or an impulsive killer in his early years before moving into what he termed his prime or his predator phase at and about the time of Healy's murder, which was in 1974. So obviously this implied that he was murdering well before 1974, as that was his prime. And so he was an impulsive killer before that. He never explicitly admits to having done so, but everyone had to figure that out. In general, a serial killer doesn't just start in their 30s. Like they've been killing long before that. And so...
You've been doing bad shit before you got caught doing bad shit.
Yes.
You don't just
before anyone even knows about it.
You don't just fall into it. And he was such a fucking chameleon that, I mean, who
obviously
knows?
He was killing for 10 years probably prior to that. And there's a lot of murders that he won't even admit to. In July of 1984, this dude was always trying to break out of prison. Like he was never not trying to get out of jail. In July of 84, prison guards found 2 hacksaw blades hidden in his cell. A steel bar in one of the cell's windows had been sawed completely through on the top and the bottom and was glued back in place with like a soap-based adhesive that he had made.
Oh.
Several months later, they also found an unauthorized mirror and Bundy was moved to a different cell. Shortly after that, he was charged with a disciplinary infraction for unauthorized correspondence with another high-profile criminal, which was John Hinckley Jr. Do you remember who he is?
No, I do not.
I was like, I don't want to be wrong, so I'm just going to look it up before I say it.
Let's take a look because I don't remember either.
I feel like
I spelled Hinklet. Oh, God.
Yep, thank God I was right. I would have killed myself. He was the one who killed, President Killer.
Ronald Reagan?
Mm-hmm.
Man, in 81. He did not age well either.
No. I was like, he's the one that killed. Okay, I'm glad to not be wrong. In October of 1984, Bundy contacted Kemple and offered to share his self-proclaimed expertise in serial killer psychology in the ongoing hunt in Washington for the Green River Killer, who ended up being Gary Ridgway. Keppel and the Green River Task Force detective Dave Reichart interviewed Bundy. These are the guys. Mm-hmm. While the freaking Green River Killer had remained at large for 17 years.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's a long reign of terror.
Yeah, on one highway. I mean, kind of. But obviously it was a really fucking long highway. But wasn't it prostitutes?
I feel like that is accurate.
Like I feel like it was women who weren't like going to a 9 to 5, and that's why it was harder to like find the killer. I could be wrong because serial killers start to blend in at some point. But I feel like I'm right.
Yeah. I think you are too.
He ended up publishing the details of everything, and this ended up being interview material. And this is the same thing as profiling. Like we needed to know what the fuck they were thinking so that we can try to find other serial killers. Yeah. In early 1986, an execution date, which was March 4th, was set on the Chi Omega convictions. The U.S. Supreme Court issued a brief stay, but the execution was quickly rescheduled. In April, shortly after the new date, July 2nd, was announced, Bundy finally confessed to Hagmeyer and Nelson that they believed was the full range of his what's that?
Depredations?
Thank you.
I guess I've never even said that word out loud before.
Including details of what he did to some of the victims after their deaths. He told them that he revisited Taylor Mountain, Issaquah, and other secondary crime scenes, often several times, to lie with his victims and perform sexual acts with their bodies until the putrefaction forced him to stop.
That stupid, dirty fucking bird. What a nasty
fuck.
Blech.
So he kills them and then hangs out with them.
And then their poor families, too, having to hear. There's just. Anyway, keep going.
In some cases, he drove for several hours each way and remained the entire night. In Utah, he applied makeup to Smith's lifeless face and repeatedly washed Amy's hair. If you've got time, he told Hagmeyer, they can be anything you want them to be. He decapitated approximately 12 of his victims with a hacksaw. and kept at least one group of severed heads, probably the 4 later found on Taylor Mountain, which was Rancourt, Parks, Ball, and Healy, in his apartment for a period of time before disposing them. Less than 15 hours before the scheduled July 2nd execution, the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals stayed it indefinitely and remanded the Chi Omega case for review on multiple technicalities, including Bundy's mental competency to stand trial and an erroneous introduction by the trial judge during the penalty phase, requiring the jury to break a 6-6 tie between life imprisonment and the death penalty, which ultimately were never resolved. A new date of November 18th was then set to carry out the Leach sentence. The 11th Circuit Court issued a stay on November 17th. In mid-1988, the 11th Circuit ruled against Bundy, and in December, the Supreme Court denied a motion to review the ruling over the fucking other sentences with other judges. Within hours of that final denial, a firm execution date
We got
finally
one.
set.
We got one.
January 24th, 1989 was announced.
January 24th, 1989.
Thank you for repeating that.
I'm just
My
soaking
eyeball
it
started
in.
to itch. I took off my glasses. I put my paper down. Heather was like, the story's done.
Listen, and we're done. Thanks for listening.
I bid you adieu. His journey through the appeals courts had been unusually rapid for a capital murder case. Contrary to popular belief, the courts moved Bundy as fast as they could. Even the prosecutors acknowledged that Bundy's lawyers never employed delaying tactics, though people everywhere seethed at the apparent delay in executing their fucking archdemon, Ted Bundy.
I mean, they've been hearing about him for all these years.
It's like, why are we paying to keep him alive? That is what it comes down to. When you're talking about the death sentence, you are paying to feed him.
Yeah.
You're paying to clothe him. You're paying to keep him alive. So why are we paying to keep a serial killer alive?
Yeah, and letting
It's
him...
not like we have any question as to whether or not this guy did it.
I know. And then we're letting him, or apparently he's paying to bang his wife next to the Kit Kat dispenser in the room. That's what they did on the show. It was next to a vending machine.
Oh, of course it was. Golly. All the appeal fucking avenues have been exhausted. There's no other motivation to deny his crimes. Bundy agreed to speak frankly with investigators. He confessed to the Keppel. I really don't like that last name. It's hard for me to my brain doesn't like it. Like, no.
Like, you're not going to say this?
Yeah.
Okay.
That he had committed all 8 of the Washington and Oregon homicides for which he was the prime suspect. Duh.
Yeah.
He described 3 additional previously unknown victims in Washington and 2 in Oregon. 2 in Oregon.
I thought there was 1, but there's 2 in Oregon. Oregon. Have you ever heard someone say Oregon?
No, I would not talk to them.
It's like,
punch them in the face and leave.
It's probably like the same people who say salmon.
Okay. Oregon, whom he declined to identify if indeed he ever knew their identities. He said he left a 5th corpse, Manson's, on Taylor Mountain, but incinerated her head in Klopfer's fireplace, the girl he had dated.
What?
He described the Issaquah crime scene where the bones of Ott, Naslund, and Hawkins were all found, and it was almost like he was just there. Keppel had said, I'm quoting, like he was seeing everything. He was infatuated with the idea because he spent so much time there. He was just totally consumed with murder all the time. Nelson, his impressions were similar. He said, it was the absolute misogyny of his crimes that stunned me. She wrote, Nelson's apparently a female. His manifest rage against women. He had no compassion at all. He was totally engrossed in the details. His murders were his life's accomplishments. He confessed to detectives from Idaho, Utah, and Colorado that he had committed numerous additional homicides, including several that were unknown to the police. He explained that when he was in Utah, he could bring his victims back to his apartment, where he could reenact scenarios depicted on the covers of those detective magazines that we had talked about, chaining him up, all that.
Oh, God.
A new ulterior strategy quickly became apparent. He withheld many details, hoping to parlay the incomplete information into yet another stay of execution. There are other buried remains in Colorado, he admitted, but refused to elaborate. The new strategy, immediately dubbed Ted's bones for time scheme.
Oh.
Served only to deepen the resolve of authorities to see Bundy executed on schedule and yielded little detailed information. So basically, he was like, if I just tell you I murdered more people, I don't tell you where their bodies are, I don't tell you anything about it, you'll let me live until I give you more
he has
info.
something that they want. So, of course, he's going to be like, I'll give you a little nugget, and then tomorrow I'll give you another nugget. And then apparently it's a 50 piece.
Well, and then they also said, too, that in the cases where he did give details, they didn't find anything.
So he's just making shit up?
Maybe. Or maybe he's lying.
Or maybe I don't know. Because, I mean, he went to a mountain. So.
At the end of the day, like, yeah.
And he liked the wilderness.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
But I also feel like the police would have, like, not just pinpointed one block of land or one thatchet of land. They'd be like, we're going to do, I don't even know if that's a word.
I like
We're going to do at least an acre review. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. Colorado detective Matt Linval interpreted this as a conflict between his desire to postpone his execution by divulging information and his need to remain in total possession. The only person who knew his victims' true resting places.
Yeah.
Fucking psycho mother.
He's an ass.
When it became clear that no further stays would be forthcoming from the courts, Ted Bundy supporters began lobbying for the only remaining option.
What?
Executive clemency. Diane Weiner. A young Florida attorney.
We're going to go with
Weiner.
Just
a young
because.
Florida attorney and Bundy's last purported love interest.
Oh, Jesus.
Asked the
Her name
families.
would be Wiener Bundy.
Oh, my God. Asked the families of several Colorado and Utah victims to petition Florida Governor Bob Martinez for a postponement to give Bundy time to reveal more information. All refused.
Good.
Not one family of the missing girls and they were like, fuck no. Kill him.
Good.
The families were already believed that the victims were dead and that Ted had killed them. They had already come to terms with that.
They made peace.
They
were like,
they did not need his confession.
Yeah.
Martinez made it clear that he would not agree to further delays in any case. We are not going to have the system manipulated, he told reporters. For him to be negotiating for his life over the bodies of victims is despicable.
It is.
He fucking cunt.
It really is. He's like, well, what if I tell you this and then you can... No. That's it. No. Sizzle him up.
Yeah.
That's
fucker.
Right.
Like bacon.
But oh my God, I'm hungry. Don't say that. But yes.
So,
Brooklyn just hit her snoot on the microphone, and the look that she gave, it scared her genuinely. Like she just that brought me joy. This is why we got to get that video up and running, because that would have been gold.
Oh my God. I was really thirsty. I took a little sip of my water and I turned my head and forgot I had, for once, positioned the mic in the right spot so I wouldn't have to move it. Just face planted into it. That was great.
Oh, I can't wait till we do video so everyone else gets to experience the joy that I do every time we record.
Let's talk about stupid fucking Carol Ann Boone. She had obviously championed Bundy's innocence throughout all of his trials.
Yeah.
And here we are. What happened? Ted Bundy confessed and said everything that he had done. So she's like deeply betrayed by his admission that he was in fact guilty. Imagine this dumb bitch. Right. Some fucking how you really thought that this was just all lies. Like he's that manipulative. He's that charming. He's that smart. He's that sophisticated.
Right.
You're literally seeing the proof. You were seeing his teeth indented in the body of a dead woman. And you're going to now feel deeply betrayed.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Desperado. In the words of Nick Lachey, love is blind.
Oh, and by the way, he also was fucking that other attorney.
Of course he was.
From jail, I'm sure. I don't know how, but they're like, she was also super mad. She's so dumb. Okay, anyway, she moved back to Washington with her daughter. She wouldn't accept his phone call because he had called the morning of his execution.
Good.
Yeah.
And I would have said, who is this? What would you say if Ted Bundy called you in the lesson? Like, I'm sorry. Oh, I think you have the wrong number.
You to say that you'd accept the charge.
No, I know, but
can you? Anyway.
Yeah.
So that he was devastated. She was devastated by the fact that he was having another relationship and that he obviously
actually killed 1 million people.
Yeah. And then he had also talked of suicide because he's a pussy ass bitch. Not that suicide is I'm not at all saying anything on that. I'm saying it from the perspective of this pussy ass bitch.
He wanted to control the outcome, and that would be his way to control the outcome. Like, you're not going to get me. I'm going to break up with you before you can do anything about it.
He did not want to give the state the satisfaction of watching him die.
Yeah, that's what you meant. I totally get it.
Buddy.
Who's Buddy?
I don't know.
The elf?
Oh, I wish. Christmas.
Right.
Bundy was executed in the Rayford electric chair at 7:16 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Tuesday, January 4th, 1989. His last words were directed to his attorney, Jim Coleman, and Methodist minister Fred Lawrence. Jim and Fred, I'd like you to give my love to my family and friends. Hundreds of revelers sang, danced. They set off fireworks in a pasture across from the prison as the execution was carried out, then cheered as the white hearse containing Bundy's corpse departed the prison. He was cremated in Gainesville, and his ashes, so fucking annoyed by this.
I remember.
His ashes were scattered at an undisclosed location in the Cascade Range of Washington State in accordance with his will, which is also where supposedly other victims' bodies were.
Yeah.
But the crowd cheered on. Burn, Bundy, burn was the tagline. Now, people also said too, cops were like, I feel like this is, they were like, I don't know. Tell me how you feel about this.
Okay.
Obviously, everyone was getting drunk and partying. It's obvious.
Yeah, it's like
that was back when you could drink and drive pretty much.
Yeah.
But they said like some of the cops were like, there were a lot of boys that were out there that were babies when Bundy was killing. And so they're like, I think to them it wasn't, like it was just an excuse for people to party and experience something, and that those like young men, those 21-year-olds didn't have the wherewithal to be like actually, I don't know, to understand the weight of what was really going on.
Like they kind of looked at it like a tailgate, as opposed to a lot of women lost their lives because of this motherfucker.
Like this is justice finally being served.
Yeah, they wanted to like be a part of something.
History.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's history.
I mean, ugh.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
We don't have any that's coming. Like when I think about that, like we just recently had that one serial killer in the last 2 years that was I suck. We've been doing this podcast for 100 episodes. I can't figure out and not hit the mic.
It's only one-on-one.
I'm just wondering, I don't know. Like that one serial killer whose his wife's hair was found on the body. The most recent serial killer.
I don't remember which one you're talking about.
Oh my God, the most recent serial killer that was found in the last decade. And I can't think, it's not the Green River killer. But it was something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, like, I don't know. If someone was like, hey, and it was driving distance, I'd be like, let's go fucking see what it's about. At the end of the day, you killed a ton of people. But is that public hanging? Is that where we're being crazy?
Yeah,
like,
I don't know.
Is that horrible? Where do you stand? We take a poll. We need to take a poll on this one on Spotify and put in there, would you go see a serial killer? Like, would you celebrate the death of a serial killer? Because that's what it was, celebrating.
Yeah, like grilling it. Like you see they made signs and...
They had T-shirts that they were selling.
Yeah. Well, everybody will turn a buck no matter what. Like, even with the fucking eclipse, people were selling all kinds of shit with just sticking moons on them. You know what I mean? So anybody will turn a quick dollar no matter what. Like OJ had a bunch of shit too. Like whenever he went to trial and everything. So I don't know. I mean, I think I would go just because I would want to see the environment and because like for research, for science. Like, I would
definitely science.
For science. Like I would do it for science. Now, am I going to wear a Burn Bundy burn hat and hold up a thing? No, but I mean, I'm not going to be remorseful that a horrible human is leaving us.
You're right. Someone who has proven that they want to escape and they'll kill when they do.
122%. Like he's going to try to get out again.
Yeah.
So what's the point? That's how I feel in that case. Anyway.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think that's a wild one. I don't know. This one, it just sucks.
Yeah. And I went to the True Crime Museum and I was thinking about this last night in Pigeon Forge, and his his beetle, his VW bug was there. And I took a picture like of it, and they had shirts there, and then I bought one and I left, and I was like, I don't know how I feel about that. I just did that. I think that I'm okay with it because the money goes back to the True Crime Museum, which is very interesting. But like,
oh yeah, we need those.
But
things,
like, I didn't want to like, I don't know, just fantasize.
I mean,
about,
but
like,
we wear shirts that are like all serial killer joke shirts. Like, we do the thing. We're true crime. We're true crimers.
We're in it. Yeah.
We're intrigued by it, but I say we're intrigued by it, but we're intrigued because sometimes I do feel guilty for my obsession with true crime.
I just want to know why.
And
like,
it's
why they do it. And it's the fact that sometimes it's people that like he could have taken one, like not started killing, went another route and been successful in
Here's the
politics,
science of it.
Or who knows?
Could he have? Or could he have? It's always an urge. Like it's smoking cigarettes in a way different way, but like it's an urge, it's an addiction, it's an impulse. Yeah,
but I don't know. He in my opinion, he had like he was in politics. He had everybody else fooled. He figured out how to be means charming.
All he need. Like, in my mind, I don't know why, but I feel like he had no other path but to be a serial killer.
Yeah, I mean,
like. Everything that he honed was to hide his personality. It wasn't to be good at politics.
That's true.
It was to hide who he really was.
Yeah.
Everything he did in all of his life was to hide who he really was.
Yeah. If he could have just been a good boy.
It's the same thing with Dahmer or Gacy or all the ones that were gay trying to hide their homophobe. Like, I don't know. I just don't know if they had another route to take or if this was who they were.
Who fucking knows?
And it's our job to A, not get killed by them, and B, to track them down and take them out. Like,
that's right.
I don't know.
Sweep the legs.
Like, for me, whenever I think about serial killers, and it's not, yes, it's totally why and how they got there, but how do we not fall victim? How do we not?
Yeah.
And I think what fucks me up the most about Ted Bundy is how do we not?
That one.
How do we not? How do we not help a stranger who seems like a nice man? He wasn't overly strong. He didn't look like he was.
He didn't look threatening.
Threatening at all.
No.
No neck tattoo. You know, like there was nothing there.
Yeah. I don't know. I got to thinking about that after I did the episode 100A or whatever it is. That I am a nice person and I do try to like help people.
Right.
So like I probably would have. Like after I was like, I wouldn't have done that. The fuck I would.
Oh, yeah, you would have.
Yeah, I would. I talk to strangers all the time.
You do. So. You're literally trying to get thrown in a trunk all the fucking time. I'm always telling Heather, we were leaving the other day and I was like, I have to shit. Can you walk to your car faster? Because I'm going to shit myself, but I have to make sure you get in your fucking car. And you were walking so slow. I was like, get in your car.
You said, I'm not going to wait till you get in your car. And I said, okay. So
I had to roll down the window to yell at you because you were just walking across parking lot. Always.
I didn't know the urgency.
Get in your fucking car and lock the fucking door.
Okay.
I literally watch that shit all the time. I always have to, because you're not paying attention enough.
No.
So I have to.
Listen to it. I'm getting publicly reprimanded.
Because I almost shit myself.
That's it, you guys. We have 101 episodes of discussions like that.
Yeah.
Hot topics, hot takes.
Dude, I just have to say it.
Hot takes.
All right, y'all.
Nice job.
Thanks for our 100th episode.
Thank you.
Thanks for keep listening for us to be on the top 2% of people who actually make it to 100th episode.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a real stat?
I don't know, but it's something like that.
It's like 2 or 3.
It's very hard to get to this many episodes.
Yeah.
Because usually people give up after they don't make any money, but not us.
Not us.
We are determined.
That's right.
To keep going.
You fucked with us and now you're about to find out. So.
You did. Well, we love you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Like, listen, rate, review, subscribe, all the things.
All the things. Send us a message if you want us to do a story and we may or may not read it. So.
Yeah, we'll read it, but probably not within the time frame that you sent it because we forget to check. Okay. Anyway, we love you guys. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Theodore, can I pet that dog?